What I learned from a director, and this is what I learned from even Thomas Nicholas, he was a big part of how we put the story together too. He collaborated with us and really made this happen.
Oh, please, watch out, you'll hurt it! No! 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 No!
Every single move that you do in a movie has to mean something.
In a way, it's almost good that this was our first movie because it really taught us what not to do in the future.
You know, we were very limited on the takes and limited on options.
Right.
Because we only had 2 or 3 takes to make this work. We had one crew shooting 10 pages a day.
Over here. Okay. If you're getting it, get it. Okay. We're losing this light, man. Here you go. Ready? We can't afford to set up lights back here.
How does it feel working in your first month versus what it felt like when you were working on your 6th months?
Well, when I initially sat down to edit the feature, it was a little tough for me because I was transitioning from editing commercials, promos, wedding videos, highlight type things that were really snappy and cut really fast, where it's like a 3 to 5 minute video, you arc it around the 3-minute mark, and it's completely different to edit a feature film. So that for me was a little bit challenging, and I think it's challenging for a lot of people out there that are transitioning from maybe a short film to a feature. But I would say after 6 months, not 6 months, I would say after maybe a month or so, I got the hang of it. Watching different feature films, examining the pacing of those really helped. And also just tapping into the mindset of Walt Disney and really behind the story, reading the script again. Those are all things that were really valuable in helping the whole feature come together for me.
Coming from the first feature film, and I'm doing music videos, and we're so used to promos, and everything was always music-based. We only knew how to edit based on music. And so when we put our feature film together, we were doing music every single minute of the movie, and that's how we were putting it together.
Right.
And I guess that's another takeaway, is that we shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't have done that in the very beginning. We tried it, and obviously it doesn't work.
Exactly.
And we were like, almost like, you know, I don't know, I think it was just not understanding how to edit without music. That was, you know, without the beats and everything else.
Exactly. I think you need to make those mistakes too. Nobody can really tell you how to do it. Even if you do study a lot of other films, that can only help you so much. You kind of need to go through the process yourself.
Right, exactly.
That's what we did.
It is this thing you have to unlock in your brain by doing it. And I think of course, by our 6 months, it was more about removing things rather than adding in more things into it.
Oh no, I'm here for the job. Ad says experienced animators. You are neither. But, I mean, I don't have any money. Well, neither do I. Welcome aboard. What's your name? It's Rudy. Rudy Ising. Good to meet you. Arm down a fraction of an inch.
And I wish you got to meet the composer, Jeremy
me too.
Rubelino, because
he did an awesome job.
Oh, he's so amazing. And one of the first things he had told me was, it's more about what you don't put in the score that matters.
Interesting.
And that was like, yes, I totally get it. Yeah, please help me remove
That's
the
so
music.
interesting. That speaks to editing, to writing, to almost every aspect of filmmaking.
Less is more.
Exactly. And acting.
And acting, right, less is more. So let's talk about the specific scene. I want to talk about one of the dramatic scenes that was difficult to put together. And I believe it was, we talked about, I think it was the alleyway scene.
Yeah.
How we could rev it up.
With the mouse.
With the mouse.
Yeah. For me, that scene was really difficult because I think I was caught up on the fact that I couldn't believe from an outsider standpoint that he would be in that situation and crying over the mouse, you know, like knocking over the barrels, because I felt like there wasn't enough of a relationship that was built up between the two of them, which was another script issue that we were talking about. But I think that with the addition of the music, putting together all those previous scenes where his life was spiraling out of control, that really helped to build it up.
The moment when it felt much better, that scene that worked, was actually when we took, because that scene's supposed to, there was a scene in the movie where Walt Disney is sleeping on the desk, and the mouse comes up. Actually, that scene's supposed to happen after the alleyway scene. It wasn't supposed to happen before that.
Right.
But what we did was we took that scene and we put it before the alleyway scene.
Right.
And that immediately created the better relationship of what this mouth was about. And that's why it worked.
Yeah.
And of course, with the voiceover, that built. Oh, let's talk about
Yes,
the voiceover.
the voiceover.
Let's talk about
that. was
that.
never part of the plan,
Nope.
but it would not work without it.
No.
I mean, the way that the script was written, the scenes were like mini stories put back to back, but nothing was really flowing, right? Which is another reason that I would have liked to be part of the pre-production process.
Right.
But you know, we thought of a lot of different ways to do it. We tried to cut things out, put things in, and ultimately, voiceover just filled in all those missing gaps for us, all the missing information that you couldn't get from the story.
I really didn't want any voiceovers for the movie because I wanted to tell a narrative story without it, right? And I always, just like everybody else, everyone says that voiceover is usually just
A Band-Aid.
a Band-Aid for mistakes. In this case, yes, it was. It was. But
At least we admit it.
But we tried it without the voiceover, and people were totally confused of what was
Exactly.
going on. And when we added the voiceover, and we didn't want to overdo it either, and just hitting the points, and we were taking actual quotes from the book, which was Thomas Nicholas's idea. That's when it actually worked, and I think that's why we actually have a product that's actually could be enjoyed and by people.
I finally came to a great conclusion. I had missed the boat. I had gotten into the animated cartoon field too late. Film cartooning had been going on for all of 6 or 7 years.
I think one of the biggest challenges was that we didn't have any really wide shots for the movie.
Right. Well, it was a period piece, so they couldn't grab establishments.
Right, we couldn't grab establishments. We didn't have the budget to put out 20 picture cars flying down the street. And we wanted something like that just to create more production value. Obviously, we couldn't do that. So, and we couldn't even though we got to use a train, but that train never moved. If you moved the train at all, it would cost $20,000.
Oh my God.
That's how much it cost. And we couldn't believe it. So we had to be really, really smart on how we're gonna move this train. And so Ten, our very own DP in Kvibe Productions, he was also our Steadicam operator for the movie. And I asked him, Ten, how can we move this train in a visual, old school, visual effective way? He says, you know, you could have him just have Thomas E. Nicholas look out the window and move the reflection. And then my CG artist just added more steam underneath the window, so it looked like it moved, and we got the sound effects to make it to sell it that it was moving. But in actuality, it was just him just looking out the window. That was it. And from there, we was able to save $20,000 because of that strategy. We did invest into some animations that goes into LA. And he's like, what do you mean? How are you gonna put this together? I said, we need to look as realistic as possible. And he says, Khoa, this, you know, in a real production, in a real animation house, this requires about maybe 20 or 30 people just to get this thing done. I said, why? Because you got one person that has to concentrate on detail, one person that just concentrates on animation, one person that concentrates on how, you know, on the wire rendering. And I just said, I don't know what we're gonna do, but we need it. He says, all right, how long? I said, give me 2 months, and I'm able to create one shot.
Wow.
So we invested. Of course, the producers wouldn't approve on paying it, so we paid it, right?
Right.
Because that's how much, because we needed this. I think without the scene, it would look really weird on how we get to LA.
I had to sell Ub's antiquated movie camera to pay for my train ticket. This gave me a little extra money, enough for a ticket to Los Angeles and $40 to spare. My mood on that big day was somehow just free and happy.
Last stop, end of the line.
The point is that we just want to create great products.
Right.
We want to create emotional stories that could inspire people. That's it. That's all we really want to do. And that's why we're in this whole storytelling business.
All right.
So
we create to inspire.
We create to inspire. Thanks everybody for tuning in to our very first episode of Kvibe TV. We hope you enjoyed it, but more importantly, we hope that you learned something from it. Next week is going to be very exciting. We're going to be introducing episode number 2, going behind the lens with Salvatore Sotera, who has worked in the mainstream of film and television as an assistant director. To name a few, Men in Black 3, Boardwalk Empire, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and now the current hit television show, Elementary. We're going to give you a bird's eye view on the differences between mainstream film and television versus my world of independent filmmaking. Trust me, it's something that you don't want to miss. We're going to also talk about how to break into the mainstream filmmaking and television world. So make sure you subscribe to Kvibe TV, like us on Facebook, engage with us, leaving us your questions and your comments. My name is Khoa, and I'm signing off.